Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hang Out with Heather, and it is Tuesday, August, look at my calendar, 19th at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. And today I am so excited to have a really dear friend of mine, Keith Baxter. Keith, are you there?
I am here, Heather, and a dear friend of mine as well.
Thank you. Now, I've been laughing because all of the people that I've been interviewing all happen to be in Austin, like, 2 miles from me, and you're in Houston, so you're like a little further away. It's like 4 hours, but
Yeah, 3 hours, but I'm in Austin a lot, so it's all
yeah,
good.
you're like another Austinite. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you on the line today, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about something that's really dear to my heart, and I know it's dear to you, Keith. But before I actually introduce what you're going to be talking about, I want to introduce people to who you are. And Keith Baxter has been around the internet marketing and entrepreneurial world for many, many years. Now, I'm going to read to you his bio, and sometimes those can get boring, but I promise you this is something you're going to listen up. So listen up who Keith Baxter is. And he has over 16 years experience selling software, info products, physical products, buying and selling multiple companies, and consulting with some of the largest brands online today. And Keith has discovered what it really makes it and what it takes to be online. And it's not what you think. It's not. He's a pioneer. He's pioneered a system that combines life, health, and business advice with a mission to change lives. And Keith has adopted a nothing held back attitude and philosophy, which is getting him noticed in a variety of media, which is so true. You have the Nothing Held Back podcast. You also have the Nothing Held Back Mastermind, which I've been a part of twice, and I absolutely love it. And it really is a philosophy of life and health. And you've changed my life because not only am I an entrepreneur and online marketer, but since been working with you and in the mastermind, it really is about health. I mean, we do what we do as entrepreneurs online so we can have a great life, but we can also have a great healthy life. And we can tap into that mindset and tap into what is not really being said in the world in our minds, and really can go to the next level. And so that's, I think, what we're going to be talking about today, Keith. But really, kudos to you for kind of pioneering not just marketing, but pioneering the next level of entrepreneurship, which is what I think it is. I mean, what we're going to be talking about today, and we had Caleb Jennings, who's also in the mastermind with us, in your mastermind, a few weeks ago, and he's definitely taking things to a whole nother level. And we had a very interesting conversation that was a lot of fun. So, Keith, without further ado, this is Keith Baxter. Thanks, guys.
Gracias, amiga. So yeah, that's I appreciate you. I appreciate you inviting me on here. And one thing that I always promise is to have a good time. So
Yeah.
get your bottles of water and let's have a good time with it.
By the way,
So
speaking of bottles of water, I have to say this is my clean canteen. I have this every hangout. It's I carry this thing everywhere I go, and it has an alkaline, like a little tube alkaline. So actually, I alkaline my water at the same time.
you are on the cutting edge. See, I'm dealing with an old Iron Man bottle, but that's okay because it says Iron Man.
It's
Um,
okay.
Hey, you know what, Heather? Before I jump into this presentation, I want to
Sure.
say, and I did prepare something for everybody, so those that know me are like, "What? Keith actually got slides together." Um, I will say this: back when at least I started, we used to sit in front of our computers, smoke cigarettes. In the afternoon, about 5 o'clock, we'd start drinking some beer or some whiskey, whatever it was. The grill would fire up, and we'd throw on a big old couple honking steaks and some potatoes. And that was pretty much a daily ritual. And I couldn't figure out why at 2 o'clock in the afternoon I needed to take a nap. I couldn't figure out why I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeling the need to work because I just had stuff on my mind and I couldn't let it go.
Mm.
Um, and so several years ago, went down this rabbit hole. I actually did something that I never thought I would do. I hired a coach, and I hired a coach that was he was a bodybuilding coach, and I just like your man, big buff dude, and I said, I want to look like this guy. Well,
Yeah.
come to find out, the guy that I hired was much, much, much more than a bodybuilding coach. He was a fanatical health nut on a level that I had never experienced before. And he opened my eyes to go down a rabbit hole that I'm still going down this rabbit hole today. And I've realized one key thing. If I had to like say, just take everything that I've learned over these last several years off the table and say there's one thing that mattered most, I would say it was brain health. And because brain health dictates my physical health, brain health dictates my money, brain health dictates my relationship with my children and my wife, brain health dictates my relationship with you. Brain health dictates every single aspect of my life. And I can tell you what, and I know that this is a very relevant thing today, and if those who are watching this a year from now may see this a little bit different, but in the past, I would, and I mind you, I rarely, if ever, watch the news, but if I did, for instance, at lunch today, I went to get an avocado shake for lunch, and they had the news on, and they were talking about this Ferguson situation. In the past, with poor brain health, I would get very worked up about it. One way or the other, it didn't matter what side I was on, I would just get worked up about it, and I would be emotional, I would be angry, and the reality is there's not a dang thing I could do about it. I'm not there, it's just media hype, and they're manipulating it all anyway. So the reality is that understanding you and understanding your own mind allows you to pull yourself out of situations and really think at a much higher level and see things for what they really are. And I'm not talking about, conspiracies, even though I do believe in quite a few of them for entertainment purposes only, I must say. There are aliens and they're all over the place. I'm kidding, unless Heather, of course, is an alien, but who knows. That's I'm messing around.
You know what, actually, and I wanted to tap into this real quick and what you're talking about, and I watched actually the thing about Ferguson last night on accident. I got sucked in for like 30 minutes. I was like, wow. And then there was a part of me that went, it's not about mindset. It's really about what you're going to talk about, which is what you're calling biohacking, or what people call biohacking or brain hacking, brain health. I mean, that word is not even really anywhere out there right now, and it's way bigger than mindset. I mean, I've done thousands and thousands of hours of personal development, right, of seminars and events and coaches, and I have a coach, but it's brain health, and that is a whole nother level, and I mean, that's really hot. And I remember there was something that kicked in last night while I'm watching this Ferguson thing. I think I got sucked in about 30 minutes, and finally it kicked in. I'm like, what am I watching? I can't do anything about this, I just turned it off. So. Well,
and it's not even the fact that you can't, because you can do something about it if you really want to do something about it. The point is realizing that it's manipulation, and it is media manipulation. And being able to see, recognize, spot, and then pull yourself out of that and say, I'm better than this. If I choose to do something about it, that's my choice to do it. But to be angry, to have emotional feelings that are instilled upon me by somebody else, not through my own actions, that is pure, call it for what it is, but that's pure manipulation on the highest level. And that's sick. That is destroying your brain health. And there are, that's just the reality of the world. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today on the presentation. I'm going to talk to you about how to get your brain healthy. And it's so freaking simple that you're actually going to laugh at some of it. Some of it you're not going to laugh at because you're going to be like, well, I've never even heard of that before. But trust me, there's just a few simple things that anybody can do that if you allow it to enter into your life, you are going to be a different person. And I'll tell you this, change is scary. Realize that if you're not willing to change, you may want to tune out now, unfortunately. But if you are willing to change, you have that courage to move your life to the next level. I'm going to turn you on to some technologies and to some thought processes and to some dieting tips that will forever make you an elevated person. I've made this my mission. This is if somebody had to ask me what my mission was in the past, I would say is make absolutely as much money as humanly possible. You know what? Money's easy to be made, and the fact is that money can facilitate happiness, but in and of itself is not happiness. Where true happiness is now is I can see my wife in the morning, I get a big-ass smile on my face, and I just want to kiss her. And I see my kids, the first thing I want to do is grab them, pick them up in my arms, and give them a big old kiss on the cheek and just say, good morning. And that is the difference between today in years ago when it was I would see my wife and I didn't know if I wanted a divorce or not. And so, that's the type of stuff that we're going to get into. If that's exciting to you, I could jump on into the pretation unless you have some other questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to add to that. It's, recently, as you know, I'm Day Dawn, and actually working with him and we're training together, it's taking my life to another level. I always thought I was healthy. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought I was healthy. And I've been doing my own kind of diving down this little rabbit hole, and I'm very curious. I'm ready to take notes and figure out what you're doing, because we haven't talked about it. I know you're doing some crazy stuff, but I'm excited to learn about it, because I honestly feel it really is my life mission now as well, in line with that, because of yours. You've kind of opened my eyes to that. So I just, kudos to you. But more importantly, it is about that. It's about being able to wake up in the morning and be surrounded by healthy people and be healthy ourselves. I mean, that is a huge blessing that we all have. I mean, and honestly, things in life, nothing more than better than money and health. I think those are just two huge aspects. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're doing.
Let me throw one other thing at you. If you follow what I'm about to lay out for you, money just follows. Money follows. So everything that I'm saying today is very business driven.
Yeah. Good.
But business is not the initial intent. Business is easier, is better, and people gravitate to you when you follow what I'm about to tell you. Let me share my screen. I'm going to jump into this because I think that people are probably ready to see what I have to show them. I'm going to hit this little screen share thing. Tell me when you see my screen, if this is going to work for me. Oh, no. I'm hitting the button, but nothing's happening. Is there anything you have to do on your end to make this work? Oh, here it goes. Okay. All righty. Looks like I have to do something here, so give me just 1 second. Let's see, my desktop. Let's see. Nope, I want to do that. And start my screen share. All right, tell me when you see it's a Brain Hacking 101.
101. Yeah, we see it. Brain Hacking 101. And just give us a second, guys, while we're getting this together. We are, on Google Hangouts. And so, yeah, but, Keith, I'm just add to what you guys are talking about. Brain hacking, life hacking, body hacking, being able to take, not just be healthy, not to go to the doctor, but be able to take your body to an optimal level beyond bodybuilding, beyond that, but your brain and your mind and your body all connected. And nowadays, with so much talk on, negative stuff with depression, things like that, I think this is where the true entrepreneur, the true optimal business person and health person can go to another level. So I'm very excited about this. Let's see. Okay.
So you see my screen where it says Brain Hacking 101?
Yep, we see it.
All right, let me tell you this. I have a 201 and I have a 301 levels of this, and in the higher levels of this, and the reason why we're going to touch on some of it, but the reason why we're not going to go so far into depth, because I don't necessarily I don't think people will believe it until they get through 101. But there is a protocol that I have now used successfully that at least in the short term, we haven't seen the long-term effects yet, but it's through an intensive neurofeedback protocol that I'm working with that has pulled people out of depression. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but that's not going to be the main point of this presentation. Let me start with telling everybody who I am, because
hey, Keith, real quick,
yep.
Can you make it the slide the whole picture versus see it on the left, or can you?
Yeah, no, I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, so we can see the whole thing. Awesome. And by the way, just let everyone know, this is the first time Keith has ever talked about this publicly. I know he's talked about it a little bit privately in Mastermind, but really this is the first time he's ever talked about this and created a whole Brain Hacking 101. So get your pen and papers out.
Yeah, all I ask is that, yes, I have very large teeth, so don't focus on that. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but it's true. So who am I? I'm a father, husband, researcher, then entrepreneur.
Hold on. You got to switch it. Now we're looking at you.
Oh, no. What's up with that, yo? All right.
Maybe it might not work. I just want to be able to have the whole screen, but if it's not going to work, that's cool.
Let me hit this screen share thing again.
No worries.
You know what? It's not going to work because as soon as I pull it out, it's going to pull me right back to this. So I think we're going to just have to do it like this.
Let's go with that.
All right. So there's the next couple things that I like to point out, and I really want you to ponder this, because if you take on these traits, interesting things happen. I ask questions, but I also question answers. So what that means is that I don't believe everything everybody tells me. I ask a lot of questions because I want to understand more, and I totally expect and anticipate Heather asking me questions about some of the stuff that we're going through. And then I also expect the answers that I give to be questioned even further, simply because that develops a deeper understanding of things. So that's who I am, and I totally expect and appreciate when other people do that to me. And I'm an all-around life hacker. Like I said, I have ultimately determined for me that the brain hacking aspect, or the brain tips, the brain health, is the ultimate me. But some people find that it's their health. Some people find that it's their business. Some people do find true happiness in their business, and that I can appreciate too. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to discover today. The happiness hack. Tips for being happy. When you are happy, people gravitate to you. When people gravitate to you, big things happen, meaning that you can influence people to live better lives. You can influence people to live and do better business, do more ethical business, and do bigger and better business. Why a single focus isn't necessarily a good thing for most people. I'm not saying it's a thing. Some people have to have a single focus. I will tell you that the peak achievers that I have dealt with, myself included, and I'll get into this in the presentation, a single focus is not a good thing. And for years and years and years, everybody says, focus, 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 don't dilly-daddle and mess with all these other things. I'm going to go opposite of that and say that dilly-daddle with multiple things and you'll be a happier person. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some future stuff. I already alluded to the depression protocol, and I have several other protocols in the works. We're going to talk about how these hacks can make you more money, because some of these hacks, some people are not wired for wealth. They just aren't. Most people aren't wired for wealth. Most people aren't wired as an entrepreneur. Even though they say they want to run a business, when they get into the trenches and realize that there can be very stressful times, they just want to go get a job. I can help people make that transition from wanting to quit to not only sticking in it, but then thriving because of that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll call that future trends, because the technologies behind this, nobody has seen. I mean, some people have seen, obviously, but not many. All right. So, Heather, do you have any questions before we jump into how to hack your brain for happiness?
Well, the thing that questions, no necessarily, but I just, my ears perked up when you said not everyone's wired for wealth, and as someone who's in the personal development space for a long time and trying to rewire our brain, and I'm personally doing some things, or I think rewiring my brain, that's an interesting point. I'm kind of curious how you came across that, and how is it possible, the question I have is, and I hope you answer it, is it possible to really rewire someone's brain to make more money and to be healthier?
I have about 20 protocols that would be considered, let's just say that it is a form of ethical manipulation, if that makes sense, and if those two words could even be used in the same sentence. We do have technologies for, now when I say ethical manipulation, I'm saying that you have to agree and to consent to being manipulated for change. It's not something that I'm going to do covertly to anyone, but if you want it, I have the technology to make it happen, and I'm seeing some fan-freaking-tastic results with it. So
okay, all right, let's move forward. I've got my pen and paper ready.
All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about on how to hack your way to happiness is so stupidly simple, but everybody gets it wrong. It's sleep. Think to yourself, in your least productive moments in your life, how was your sleep? Did you sleep 3 hours a night? Did you sleep 5 hours a night? Did you find yourself drinking caffeine or coffee after, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Did you find yourself deprived of water? Did you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night because your throat was a little bit itchy and you needed to drink something? The reality is that sleep, and we're talking deep, deep sleep, is essential to happiness. Those with lack of sleep are oftentimes depressed, They're oftentimes irritable, most of the time irritable, and it's just not conducive to a happy lifestyle. So the first thing I'm going to tell everybody to do, and this is not a breakthrough, everybody has heard this before, is sleep. But then the question is, well, Keith, that's interesting. Sleep, you're not blowing me away yet, but tell me how. Tell me how to get some additional sleep. Well, first of all, I'll say that most people need 6 to 8 hours. Some people need more. And there's a couple of technologies that I've listed here, the Earth Pulse and the acupressure mat. Both of them are staples in my bedroom, so I do practice what I preach. Both of these, and I invite you to go to those URLs. Just take a look at them. The Earth Pulse puts out a magnetic resonance under your mattress. This is considered woo. Even to me, this is considered woo. And until I experienced it, I called it woo. When it was first introduced to me, I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? Seriously?" But then I was tasked to try it, and since trying it, I bought into it. Mm-hmm. The problem I have with this, and it's one thing that I will ask you if you try it yourself, is there's a lot of pseudoscience that's when you read the descriptions of the Earth Pulse, they're going to talk a lot of pseudoscience.
Okay, so first of all, what's woo and what's pseudoscience for anyone?
Okay, so woo would be things that necessarily can't be backed by science and is oftentimes just taken as word of mouth as being awesome. So for instance, some people will say that you can holographically imprint medicines into vitamins and minerals just by putting them on two silver trays. Now, when I say that, the first thing that comes to your mind is that's ridiculous, and that's the first thing that comes to my mind too. Those that actually believe that are believing in woo because it's more of the belief that it can work than there is science. And anytime somebody uses the word quantum that isn't necessarily a quantum physicist, in my opinion, is using a woo word, because the word quantum, nobody understands it. Seriously, nobody understands it. So how can you say that something's in the quantum realm when you don't even understand what that means yourself? So that, in my opinion, would be woo also. So when I say woo, some people will call it woo-woo. That's just growing up here in Southeast Texas. That's what I used to call call anything that was on borderline silly. So Earth Pulse is interesting in that it works for me, and I say it from personal experience. Just go read about it. Some of the stuff that you're going to read about it is going to be a little bit off the wall, in my opinion. But when it talks about frequencies, all of those frequencies can be researched on Wikipedia and verified. So that's interesting. The acupressure mat is the equivalent to laying on a nail or on a bed of nails. So the first question is, why in the world would you ever want to lay on a bed of nails, and how in the world can that affect your sleep? Well, to use less scientific terms, what it's doing is it's releasing chemicals. So you lay on it, you feel a lot of pain initially because you're laying on it without a shirt, despite the pictures that you see where people are laying on it with shirts. The protocol is to lay on it without a shirt for 5 minutes. You're going to experience pain, and then there's going to be a dopamine response. And that is going to initiate, your pain receptors are going to start to feel good, and that is what is going to allow you to sleep deeply. So there's serious science behind this one. Basically, you're feeling pain until your body says, I can't deal with the pain anymore, and releases natural chemicals in your body that allows you to alleviate that pain. Secondary benefit, deep sleep, because those chemicals are flowing in your body. Very interesting.
So do you do the acupuncture mat every night? Do you really sleep on nails?
Yes, as a matter of fact, let me tell you my protocol for night. I don't watch TV right before I go to bed. I read books. That's a big change over the last several years. And I read those books on my iPad, and I read those books on my iPad while laying in my bed on top of an acupressure mat. So this is something that I do. I feel a lot now. For me now, the pain is only about 30 seconds in, and then my body has been accustomed to releasing the chemicals that allows that pain to go away. and we could use scientific terms, but let's just keep it real simple. And I just read, and I stay on it for an hour at a time. Protocol states about 5 minutes is all you really need. I just stay on it because I'm reading, so time just goes by fast. So you've now been exposed to two technologies that you probably were not aware of that will both help you sleep better. And we're going to get into other technologies in a minute. That also, everything that I'm saying here builds upon itself. So we start with sleep. Where we go next builds upon this. So start with sleep. Heather, before I jump into the protocol number 2, do you have any questions about sleep? And mind you, this is 101, scratching the surface. You do the very simplistic, very simple things talked about in this presentation, and you will sleep better.
Okay, I have 2 questions, and they're kind of like, first of all, if you have a partner, do they have to sleep on nails too?
No. That's
number 2. That would be challenging for any kind of sexual experience.
well, no. This is a mat. This is a removable mat.
It's a mat. Okay. I'm like, that would be challenging.
I have not tried that, nor do I think I want to. So
I don't think so either. But then I have one more question. I do have one more question. So I have this visualization of you lying on, these nails, and then I see you trying to hold an iPad for an hour. You seriously hold it for an hour?
Every night.
That's why you have these muscles like that.
That's it. That is my bodybuilding secret to success. We can end this call now, and everybody will know how to be a bodybuilder tomorrow.
Exactly. It's just hold the position and watch. Okay, I got it. That's just, I had these really funny questions. So I was like, how did you hold?
You know what though? It's not funny because the reality. I mean, it's funny, but the reality is that it takes getting used to. The difference between these, and I will say this, that pretty much everybody can afford the acupressure mat. It's less than, I think, $70. The Earth Pulse is pricey, so you have to be sold into it first. So do your research. Do research into that before you make that, because it is pricey.
Okay, move forward. I had to ask those questions, right? The holding of the iPad for an hour, and then, of course, partner relations. That would be a challenge.
I would not want to subject my wife to it, but that's all. It's all good. Let's talk about water. This is another duh thing, but I'm going to lay out a protocol right now that nobody on this call, or maybe 1 or 2 people, are actually doing, that will make a huge difference in not only your brain health, but your overall life. Feeling happy. I mean, this right here will make you feel happy quickly, because I'll tell you what, 98% of the world is dehydrated. This is one quick way to get rehydrated. The protocol is to drink 2 glasses of water immediately upon awakening in the morning. We're talking 2 8 to 10 ounce glasses, and in one of the glasses, squeeze a fresh lemon into that glass. It's alkalizing, it's hydrating, it makes you feel good. Suck it up, Buttercup, if you can't drink water, because a lot of people say that they dislike water. You know what? It's because you haven't had enough water from enough good, clean sources that it makes you feel good. Once you understand how it makes you feel and you associate feeling good with drinking water is not going to ever be a problem for you again. But you have to get past that. It's a barrier. Like my father, I'll give you a quick story. My dad will not drink water. He only drinks Diet Coke. To this day, his son, Mr. I drink 6 liters of water a day guy, and not only that, but my water's all structured water, and we can get into that later if you want to. He won't drink a glass of water to save his life. There are a lot of people, especially in the 60-plus category, that may be a reality for. I would say the older you get, the more important this is. So I challenge everyone listening to this to start with 2 glasses of water in the morning. Disregard eating, for a couple hours. Disregard drinking anything other than water, and just drink water. Find the best, cleanest source that you can find and drink that. Drink 4 to 6 liters of water per day. On the higher end, if you're on the dehydrated side. A lower end, if you have gone through, say, 1 week of drinking 6 liters of water per day, you should be peeing all the time. And yes, I know that may be disgusting to say on a call, but your body needs it.
I want to add to this real quick. I'm up to about a gallon a day, so I carry this around everywhere. And I do about 4 or 5 of these, which is about a gallon. My goal is to get to 2 gallons a day, and a lot of it is because of what I call my anti-aging doctor. This right here, water, is the key to anti-aging. Not only what you're talking about, but to
it's the key to happiness.
Oh,
the water and sleep alone. And yes, I know that I said that this is 101. And yes, this is 101. We haven't even got to the really interesting stuff yet. But you master sleep and you master water. You make these ritualistic habits every single day where you are fanatical about drinking your 2 glasses of water right when you wake up. This will make a big difference. Also, I want to say this, and this gets back to what I said previously about sleep. Stop drinking water 1 hour before bed. Otherwise, you're going to affect your sleep by having to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee. And that disrupts your sleep, which takes away from our first major point. So be aware of that. That's a big deal, because especially when you get into drinking water and you start to enjoy drinking water and you start to enjoy drinking a lot of water, sometimes you'll find that you may even have that thirsty, dehydrated sensation prior to going to bed, and you'll want to drink water then. I encourage you not to, and just wait till the morning, because it will disrupt your sleep, which is equal, if not as important, as drinking water. So that's my little bit on water. Let's get into the pinnacle number 3, diet and exercise. You know what? Better brains and happiness requires fat. So if you have bought into the notion that you have to eat, 80% or 70% carbs, 20% protein, 10% fat, which was all the rage for years and years and years, get over it. Deal with it. 50% of your diet should be healthy fats, in my opinion, and this is because where I'm coming from is that of brain health and happiness. And depending on, if you follow the protocol of coconut oil, MCT oil as being some of your primary fat sources, most often than not, you will find that you will actually lose body fat at the same time. So I'm not coming across here as a diet and fitness expert. I'm coming at this as a brain health expert. But I will say that I also know the body, so that's a big deal. Coconut oil, MCT oil should be your and that's medium chain triglycerides. If you're wondering what MCT means, the only time that I would not say that 50% healthy fats should be followed, even for brain health, is if you're an endurance athlete. If you do any type of marathon style training, Ironman style training. This protocol is not appropriate for your body. You will shrivel up and die quickly. So talk to your trainer. But if you are the average person who does moderate 30 minutes to 1 hour of exercise per day, and I'm talking sweat style exercise, then by all means, in my opinion, this is an appropriate diet for brain health first, body second. Another piece that is a big deal is the intermittent fasting aspect, especially when it comes to brain health and a high-fat diet. Eating within an 8-hour period of time each day seems to have the biggest bump for brain health. And now that 8 hours is strictly up to your schedule. My schedule is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But you can do it anytime. You can do it anytime that you want. If you prefer 8 to 4, whatever. Just try to stay within an 8-hour period, and then let the other 16 hours of the day be a fasting time. Let your digestion heal itself. Let your gut heal itself. Let the fats do what they do with your brain health. And between sleep, water, and following a higher healthy fat diet with an exercise program that requires you to move, and we're talking sweat, at least 30 minutes a day, these 3 things alone will change your life. Promise.
I want to say something real quick, Keith, about not the 30 minutes, but the intermittent fasting. That's interesting. So, I eat every 2 hours. And I start around 8, and my last meal is probably 6 or 7. But you're saying, so do all your meals in an 8-hour period, so you have 16 hours of sleep, rest, relaxation. Is that
let me break this down a little bit further. There is a massive debate going on between the two camps of intermittent fasters and non-intermittent fasters when it comes to bodybuilding, fat loss, mainly from the paleo camp against the non-paleo camp. When I talk about this, I'm talking about this from brain health. I'm not talking about it from being in one of those camps. If I am a specific style athlete, I am following what my coach tells me to do. I am not following a guide that is trying to make my brain healthier, because that's not conducive to my athletic endeavors. So if I'm a power lifter, I'm going to do what my coach tells me to do, and I'm going to ask my coach, is it okay for being a power lifter that I add these additional fats into my diet and change the ratios? If he says yes, I will follow his advice. Your coach is an expert. I'm an expert in brain health. But I am not a bodybuilding coach. I am not a powerlifting coach, and I'm certainly not an endurance coach. So with that being said, stick with whatever your priority is. If your priority is an athletic endeavor, then follow your coach's advice. Just show him this or her this and get their thoughts on it. If they think intermittent fasting is absolutely ridiculous to achieving your goals, then don't do it. I'm not saying do it because it's not do it because Keith Baxter says to do it. No, I'm saying that if your number one criteria is to increase your brain health, your happiness factor, then yes, follow this. So let me explain a little bit more about this. My wife is an Ironman athlete. She does 2 Ironmans a year, probably about 20 other triathlons a year. What I have laid out right here is totally not appropriate for her, nor would I ever ask her to follow this advice, because she is in a different zone, and this is not appropriate for her. So that's just an example, real world example. So do you have any questions about that? Heather? So Heather? Can you hear me? Uh-oh, I think I lost audio. Hello? Okay, I am not hearing you. Let me see. Hold on, let me take off my screen share for a sec. Okay, let's see here. Hey, can you hear me, Heather? I can't hear you. I've lost all your audio, but you can hear me. Okay, I cannot hear you. Do you want me to go ahead and finish the presentation? Okay, all right. I'm going to jump back into the presentation since you can't hear me. All right, here we go. All right. Okay, so jumping into the next stage of the happiness factor is the gratitude journal. Being aware of gratitude is a scientifically proven method to improve happiness.
I'm back, by the way. We're good.
Hey, awesome, man. That makes me happy. Even happier, dude. Great.
Sorry about that, guys. Yes, I was here. Absolutely. Go for it. Gratitude journal. Actually, I have one right here.
Yeah, the 5-minute journal is a lifesaver. Let me say something to you. Have you ever experienced waking up in the morning, you're a little bit on the groggy side, you may have gotten out of bed, you stubbed your toe, then you said, oh man, I've got to go to the gym, but I'm really not in the mood to work out. But you do it anyway. You go to the gym, you have a workout that's maybe 20% of your potential, you come home, you're a little bit grumpy because you didn't push it as hard at the gym as you hoped you could have, and then you are about to eat lunch, and you know you should have that really healthy, high-fat lunch that I've just explained, but then you're like, well, you know what, Whataburger sounds a whole lot better. Maybe I'll just grab a burger, and then afterwards you feel guilty about that. If those days have ever existed in your life, which I would say that has happened to pretty much everybody, I would say that going and using the 5-minute journal for 1 minute in the morning and 1 minute at night will change your life. I have found that I am less grumpy on my grumpy days when I have and experience gratitude first thing in the morning. And
yeah, Keith, I actually have this. I didn't know you did this as well. That's really funny. I want to share people what you do, right? So I'll just give you an example.
Please
you
do.
A morning and afternoon. So in the morning, it asks you a question. I am grateful for, and you have 3 openings. You just write whatever you want. You text it. And then the next screen says, what would make today great? And then you have 3 openings. And you can write whatever you want. And then the next screen is daily affirmations. It's just open. So you can say, I am, or I love, or I choose, whatever you want. You text it. And it really takes about 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes max. And then in the evening, because it prompts you, it gives you for me, it prompts me, and asks you two questions at night. One, 3 amazing things that happened today. Put you in that state of gratitude, and you have 3 places to put it. And then the next question is, how could you have made today better? So that's what it does.
And you know what happens? Let's talk a little bit about what's happening there. As you do that right before bed, your subconscious mind reprograms itself to how could you have made today better? That question, as you go to sleep and your subconscious mind works on that, allows it to then make the next day better. And I'm telling you, it sounds silly, again, a little bit of woo, but gratitude, my friends, is huge. So far we've covered sleep, we've covered water, we've covered diet and exercise, which are all no-brainers in my opinion. Everybody knows about that. This may be the first one that you've seen that you had no clue about, and that's gratitude. Even though we've all heard gratitude, until you practice it on a ritualistic basis, it is, it's just, you have to try it. It's that powerful. Let's talk about, and I'm going to break into some supplements here. There's many herbs and drugs that leads to a better functioning brain and happiness, and let me explain that a little bit. So let's first talk about the drugs, because most people are not aware of the Racetam family of drugs, and these are, Piracetam, Aniracetam, Modafinil, several others. Of course, modafinil is not in the Racetam line of drugs, but what these things do is they create limitless use. So if you've ever seen that movie Limitless with the drug NZT, that's essentially what these drugs are doing. They allow you to think faster, smarter, clearer, and just think ahead of time is probably the best way of saying it. Oftentimes you can experience euphoria as a result of taking them, among many, many other things. And like all drugs, they do have their side effects, which the main side effect is you add to one area of life, another area has to be taken away from, and usually that is sleep. So many people that use the drug aspect of the nootropics or the supplements that we're talking about here do experience loss of sleep, which is just counter to everything that we've talked about in this presentation. So what I'm going to talk about are natural, healthy supplements that you can use. These are individual herbs that you can use that will make a big difference, and I'll also explain why. So let's talk about ginkgo biloba, 24% extract. This increases blood flow to the brain and proven to reduce stress, anxiety, and improve concentration and focus. Because we were talking about brain health, the reducing stress gives you that happiness factor. So there we go. The next, rather than reading this and sounding like a complete moron from Southeast Texas, I'm just going to say that you can see it on your screen. This restocks your brain cell membranes, boosts dopamine and serotonin, stimulates nerve cell growth, lowers stress, enhances brain activity of the cortex, hypothalamus, and pituitary glands. Again, boosts dopamine and serotonin. It's the happiness factor. That's what we're shooting for with this presentation. Actyl-L-carnitine. This is an amino effective for helping memory loss, enhances mood. Again, just right back to what we were talking about. St. John's wort, L-glutamine HCl. Again, all of these not only, especially, let's talk about the demographics for this. There's 2 demographics that will be, or actually 3 that I've found. You have people over 60 that want to improve concentration and memory. There are the college students that want to improve concentration and memory. And then you have the 30-plus, mainly entrepreneurs that just want to be happier and relieve stress in their lives. And these are proven ingredients, proven herbs that allows that to happen. You can see a couple of the other ones here, DMAE, bitter trait. You know what, man? I am not a doctor, so you see what they are in front of you.
They're actually really hard names. I have a question on one of them though. St. John's wort. I've heard of it before. Can you explain that one?
Yeah. So just basically, that is an herb, and it relieves anxiety, tension, and enhances mood. other than reading that is what it is here. Basically, when I was researching these individual ingredients, and this is a fairly common formulation in a lot of natural nootropic style supplements. And before I take any supplement, I want to know what's in it, and I want to know why. So while you can't trust everything that comes out of Wikipedia, you can trust a lot of it, especially when it comes to what herbs do and why they work and what dosage they work with. And all of this came straight out of Wikipedia before I even started taking the supplement that I take. So these are the ingredients in the supplements that I take, and as you see, they're all proven to do exactly 3 things: increase memory, increase focus, and make you happier. So that's a big deal. So Heather, I know that we've gone a little bit longer in this presentation than you were hoping for, so let me just break this down in a nutshell.
No, you're fine. This is great. I mean, I'm taking notes, so don't worry about that.
So we've talked about improving sleep, taking in more water, upping the fats, healthy fats in your diet, practicing gratitude, and enhancing all of that through supplementation. Now, I guarantee that using the simple tips that I shared, and if used and made routine, will make you a happier human being, which, in my opinion, to be a happier human being, you're adding so much more to the world than what all the negativity combined can do, because you've got people with agendas to make people unhappy. I have an agenda to make people happy. So please, if you just allow 1 week, challenge yourself 1 week to sleep better, to drink more water, to eat more healthier fats, to practice gratitude, to take the supplements, and just see how that changes your life. And I almost guarantee that you will be addicted to feeling happy, because, man, once you have experienced true happiness through just practicing a healthier lifestyle, you don't want to go back. If you enjoy drinking those 2 or 3 cocktails every night, but you find that your sleep is reduced because you do so and you have the alcohol in the evening, you may find yourself eliminating those cocktails because you simply don't want to feel that nastiness that's associated with not sleeping good. So it's a big deal. Now, I want to talk about focus. There's a big lie that's been taught to me for years. I've hired more business coaches than I could shake a stick at, and that's a Southeast Texas term, so we'll stick with it. So the big lie is just focus on just one thing, and you will be set. So one day I did that. I bought a software company in 2004. That was the only thing that I did for years, and I made a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but one day that technology became obsolete. Overnight, it became obsolete. I had nothing to fall back on. I had no other, even side focuses, nothing. My business was so single focused that I didn't make investments, which is a side focus. I did not invest in anything. I didn't start anything else. I didn't put any time and energy into anything else. And when that business collapsed, I was out on my face just trying to figure out what to do next. So those that tell you don't do anything other than one thing have not read the science. And our brains want to constantly evolve, which requires constant stimulation. And the science agrees with me on that one. So in order to grow, in order to move to the next level, you have got to stimulate your mind. Let's talk about some ways to stimulate your mind. You can learn a new skill: language, sport, craft. You can read. I read a lot, at least an hour a day. Try to read a book a week. I challenge you to do so. Puzzles and games. Go to luminosity.com. It's a free site. They have wonderful brain games there. Great puzzles. And then here is the one that applies specifically to business, and one that I am an advocate of, and those that hire me to do consulting with them, this is the one thing that I always tell them. Take on a second or third income source. Divide your time between each, especially if you have a protocol for enhancing your life and happiness and your productivity. When you're able to change between income sources and focus a bit on each, you avoid boredom. That's the one thing that when you have a single focus, unless you are a multitask freak, then it's going to be tough not to get bored in your business. But when you have different businesses to work on, your brain's constantly switching from each to each. But then the question is, well, Keith, how do I do that without becoming obsessed with one and not adding enough focus to another one? Here's your answer: FocusTimeApp.com. I don't have an interest in FocusTimeApp.com. It's a free app on your phone, and what it does is it keeps track of exactly how much time you need to be spending on everything. So that right there, my friends, that is a seriously awesome resource to help divide your time and make you stick to it. So, Heather, before we jump into the third part of this and future trends and do some stuff that will actually blow you away, what do you think? Do you have anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think all of this is really great, obviously. But the thing that I'm really taking away from this, that I honestly is a light bulb, is about the focus. And right now, I think I have 3 businesses online. I'm constantly changing my focus, and there's a part of me that feels guilty for doing that because I've been told that you should focus on one thing. But like you said, and I didn't really put the two and two together until you just said it, which was, a few years ago, I did focus on one thing. I dropped everything else, and I focused on one thing, and then that was, it fell / got taken, pulled, whatever, overnight, and I had no fallback. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We create little tiny multiple income streams, right? And one will be big, one will be small, but you still have that coming in. So as things shift, as life shifts, as the time shift, it was real estate, all of a sudden real estate stopped. I didn't have anything else going on, and that was really interesting you said that, because I kind of feel this little guilty, like I'm focusing on 3 businesses, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing that. You just gave me total freedom to oh, well, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. This is brain healthiness.
Hey, and I'll also say this, that guilt is a negative emotion, and there is nothing that you do that you should ever feel guilty for knowingly doing it. So, I mean, there's things that if you know that you shouldn't do it, just don't do it. But if you're doing something knowingly, doing it, and then you feel guilty, then that's on you. But if you're working 3 businesses, somebody told you not to, then you have nothing to feel guilty for. You are following what your intuition, what your guide is focused on. And mind you, the number one reason why they say to not focus on multiple things is because you can't efficiently work, or most they say you can't efficiently work any of them. But when you have a system in place like the Focus Time app, to be efficient with each one, then what's the problem?
Yeah, no, there isn't. You can actually create and develop and build three or four things out. Just like you said, you spent all that time on your software company, you didn't do any investments, and that is a side focus that should have, that could have been something prosperous for you, that you had a nest egg or whatever. I mean, I get that. For myself, I didn't focus on other real estate endeavors on my own, and so when the real estate business went to heck, dropped literally overnight in Florida, I had no place to go. So and that's because I didn't see that there could be a change, and I didn't give myself permission to be multiple focused. I didn't give myself that permission. And people that were surrounded by me, that were other entrepreneurs that were multi-focused, they had a few, they were successful, but they had some other hots in the fire. When one exploded, they put their focus on those other 2 or 3. They were fine.
Hey, let's talk about some craziness. You want to get into some crazy stuff right now?
Yes, craziness. Yes, let's go.
So this is some advanced stuff. I get into more details on this in other places, but I want to just touch on brain hacking to enhance your focus, your power, and your business. Intensive neurofeedback sessions, and not just any neurofeedback sessions, but 2 specific types of neurofeedback. One is called Neuroptimal. And then the other is called P-Roshi, okay? So these are 2 different types of neurofeedback. So basically, let me explain for those who have never heard the term neurofeedback, what that means and why it's important. So the process is pretty simple, and the easiest way to describe this without getting scientific is sensors are placed on your scalp. 5 sensors at a minimum are placed on your scalp. your brain waves are being read, and then either a trainer or being the neurooptimal system automatically adjusts. But what it'll do is it'll initiate stimulus based on your brainwave patterns to then adjust your brain and optimize it. So it's like a defrag for your computer, but it's for your brain. Now, why do I say intensive neurofeedback sessions? Because a typical neurofeedback protocol might state, one session a week for 10 weeks. That's what most people would prescribe. What I am prescribing is in 2 days, do 6 neurofeedback sessions with 4 hours between each one. Neurofeedback session with Neurooptimal in the morning. At around noon, you're going to do another neurofeedback session with the P. Roshi to integrate much of what the Neurooptimal system did. And at the same time, you are going to use a very deep system called it's called a paraliminal, which will ingrain a specific health, wealth, a specific pattern into your mind. And then in that evening, you're going to do Neurooptimal again. Then you are going to sleep, and your sleep is going to integrate even further. The next day, you're going to start with Neurooptimal in the morning, P. Roshi at noon, again with another paraliminal session, and then at night, another Neurooptimal session. On day 3, I would almost suggest that you don't have anything intensive planned because you are probably going to be a little loopy that day, maybe a little confused. Your brain's still integrating much of what it just took in. But then by day 4 on average, and that's not with everybody. A lot of people are fine on day 3. But then on day 4, the total integration has happened, and some of the patterns from the paraliminal sessions begin to manifest into your regular activities. This is highly advanced stuff, and again, I'm only scratching the surface. In the 201 and 301 and 401 courses, I get much deeper into the reasons and science behind this. We could talk another 3 or 4 hours just on this alone. But here's the thing. These paraliminals are really what's initiating change, and the neurofeedback is what's integrating the change, and then the neurofeedback's also optimizing your mind to be ready for the change. So by doing this intensive 6 sessions in 2 days, you are overloading the wiring in your head, integrating new thoughts that will take some time to manifest itself, but when it does, you'll realize that this is almost the equivalent of doing a repetitive task, a repetitive something to integrate the pattern that would normally take 1 to 2 months. You've integrated it in 2 days. This is biohacking. This is biohacking. This is brain hacking. You are going deep. Now, mind you, there's no electrodes. We're not talking about cranial stimulation. We're not talking about anything that's shocking your brain. This is only feeding back mainly scratches, beeps, and flashes of light based on whatever pattern is being read by the machine at that point in time. So I have about 50 paraliminals that range anywhere from sleeping better to being a better lover. And then I also have the P. Roshi, and I also have the Neurooptimal systems. So this is stuff that I've experimented with, not only on myself, but a few others. And even the depression protocol, surprisingly, is making massive change. And a lot of people, I would say if you're experiencing chemical depressions, that I don't necessarily know if I would use this. I would speak to a doctor. But if you're just dealing with depression from maybe the loss of someone or something like that, and that's the type of depression that you're dealing with, this absolutely changes that game. So this is deep stuff. But let's also talk about another aspect of this that I did not say. There's a lot of people that are not entrepreneurs. I mean, most people aren't entrepreneurs. Most people don't have a wealthy mindset. Most people would prefer to work for somebody and have the security of working for somebody. And yes, they may have the desire somewhere to then make their own money. And if that trait even somewhat exists, this 2-day protocol will push that to the next level, unlike anything that you've ever seen. So this, and I've used that protocol on myself even. So, as an entrepreneur, there's times that you just get tired. You're just tired of working. It's you call it burnout, whatever. You go through this, few days later, man, it's like going on vacation to Hawaii for a month and coming back, and you're just raring to go. That is about the equivalent feeling to this. So it's exciting. It's futuristic. Nobody, and mind you, I say this because I am a certified neurofeedback trainer. I'm not saying this is just some kind of crazy dude that had an idea. I legitimately am certified on this. So this is a very aggressive protocol that seems to be working.
Okay, hey Keith, I want to ask a few questions here.
Yep.
Okay, so as you know, I'm actually personally doing some neuro-optimal neurofeedback with someone here in Austin who's a practitioner, and I do it once a week. Though I've been doing it for about 4 weeks, and I have a question. Because it's my experience of it is you just lay down. He put some gel things in my head. I lay down. I relax for about 30 minutes, and then I feel very relaxed. I feel like I just took a nap.
Yep.
But the question I have is, and I asked him this, what's happening? You mean, like, how can I make it better, or what exactly is happening to my brain in that 45-minute session or whatever? What is it?
Yeah, so basically, let me just run through the process of what NeuroOptimal at least does, and then we can also talk about what P. Roche is doing too. So what NeuroOptimal does is, so your brain waves are being read real time. Instantaneously, the 40th of a second, the system's reacting and creating an interrupt in the music that you're listening to. The interrupt can be a long scratch, it could be a short scratch. Generally, depending on the amount of interrupt that has to take place, is how much of it's either going to be highly audible or low audible. It's either going to be a long scratch or it's going to be a short scratch. The whole point is to create an interrupt. That interrupt, unconscious to you, is what's causing I hate to say it like this because it just kind of sounds ridiculous. This is where the defrag is happening. This is where the optimization is happening. This is where things that are going on in your brain begin to relax, and through that process of relaxation is where the change happens. Now, that in and of itself can be good for most people. Then you add in the ethical manipulation, I guess you would say, through the paraliminal technologies, and then the integration that also comes from the P. Roche, which is only light stimulation, and unlike a true neurofeedback system, there are no just no sensors. So the P. Roche is much more like a light and sound machine, but it's technically considered a neurofeedback combined with the paraliminal, does the heavy work, and then the NeuroOptimal does the relaxation and additional, defragging, if you will, before and after. So you do have to have, yes, you're taking a week off in between each one. You only really need 4 hours between sessions. That's the minimum, that's the minimum amount of time. So when we're pushing 6 sessions in 2 days, you're really doing a lot of work to your brain in 2 days. But it's intense.
Let me ask you a question. So this is great. So and just to break it down for everyone, one session is sounds like 3 components, correct?
Well, no, you have your NeuroOptimal session in the morning, which is it's a 33-minute session. You'll do a paraliminal session with the P. Roche around noon, which will be roughly an hour, maybe 45 minutes, depending on the length of that paraliminal. Then it's always good to go get a massage or do a float session after that. And then in the evening, say around 6 o'clock, you do the another NeuroOptimal session. Then you just relax, you read a book, and you go to bed about 10. And that's your sessions. That's your day 1 sessions.
Got it. So okay.
Now, mind you, look at this as a brain intensive spa retreat. You're not going to have headaches, and you're not going to have any craziness like that from this. It's, as a matter of fact, when you're going through this, you're just going to be relaxed. Chances are, by the 2nd or 3rd NeuroOptimal session, you're just going to sleep. And I guarantee you that when you're doing the P. Roche with the paraliminal session, you will go into such a deep hypnotic state that you feel like you slept afterwards. So it can be very refreshing. Where you will notice it is after it's over, say on day 3, you're going to feel like you had 2 or 3 massages the day before, and you're just going to be relaxed, and you're just going to be kind of loopy a little bit. That can be expected. But, going into this, and I've dealt with this with a couple people where they were nervous. They were scared at first. They didn't know what to expect. The unexpected's always scary. When I tell them, it's like going to a spa for 2 days, And that's about what it's like, and that's about how relaxed you're going to be after the fact. They get excited about it, and that you come at it with a positive attitude. You come at it with deep sleep beforehand. You come at it, hydrated, with a good diet. It all builds up together to just create an intense 2-day change. And this is, I have not spoken about this protocol with other neurooptimal trainers, so I don't know if other certified trainers around the country can do this. This is just something that I do. So, and it's working. So it's interesting. We're at a very interesting time, and I think that those who are willing to push the envelope and push the boundaries, and maybe at some time I'll test out a 3-day protocol just to see if that has any better effect than a 2-day protocol. Right now we're at 2 days, and it's freaking cool.
It's freaking awesome. I love that. I'd love to do that. But there's 3 machines. As I guess you keep saying them really fast.
It's 2 machines. It's 2 machines. It's a neurooptimal machine that's used twice a day. Then there's a P. Roshi machine. P. Roshi, and then with P. Roshi is just an audio. It's just an audio, and it's called a paraliminal audio. So the P. Roshi and paraliminal, you're just wearing headphones and glasses. So it's one session. And then the neurooptimal are sensors and earphones and a screen. So that's all there is to it. And there's nothing invasive. The paraliminal can be invasive, but you're giving consent for the change that you want to happen. So it's not like you're sticking somebody. It's different than cranial stimulation, where I'm putting electrodes on your head and shocking your brain. That's a much different situation. And I have that too. Yeah, I have several of those devices. So it's very different than that. This is very passive. It's very relaxing, and it's very change, happiness driven. So
I love it. I'm curious. I know you have kids. Have you ever tried them on your kids?
Yeah, I have. I have hooked my kids up to it. They, for some reason, are scared of it, and I have still to this day. I don't understand why. I think that they just think having sensors pasted to their scalp is weird. But that's not. Most kids will be okay with it. I've seen a lot of kids that are okay with it. My kids for some reason aren't, but that's okay. So so specific outcome focused, wealthy mind, productive mind, healthy mind, happy mind. That's it. That's the presentation. Man, I have now spoken straight pretty much for an hour on this, and I love that. That's cool.
I mean, what's more important is you're giving us a protocol or a system, and some of the things we know, like water and sleep, but you're really giving us a direct system on how to do it, and I absolutely love the protocol in the 2 days. I'm actually going to reach out to the guy here in Austin and see if he has the other machine, because I would love to do that for 2 days. And then get a float. I wanted to throw this in, actually. What is a float? Some people are like, wait, what did he just say? Here in Austin, Texas, I don't know that they have one in Houston. We have got a floating bar. They have them around the country in Vancouver. I know they have one too. So what it is you, and you can explain it too, Keith, but what it is you go into, it looks like it's a really great facility, the one here in Austin, and you get into just relax, and you get into a spa, and you go into your own room, and it's basically, what do you call that, light and sensory deprivation, and you go into a big room but the size of a king-size bed, and you float. You literally float on water, and you're naked, and you put something in your ear, and you literally float, and the lights go out, and you float in there for 60 minutes, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's the most relaxing thing I've ever done in my life, more than any massage I've ever gotten. It's amazing. So that's what we're talking about, floating and taking taking it to another level. I don't know if you want to talk about floating and how it helps be happy and health and biohacking. I don't know, but
no, that's a little more of the advanced stuff.
Sure.
That's a little more of the advanced stuff. I think we've already covered a lot, and I think that at this point, I want people to integrate and try and use, rather than introducing more technologies that may confuse them, and they may not have access to it. There's not float. Most cities don't have float centers, so even the sensory deprivation tanks won't be available to most people. So that is a little more of an advanced thing. So let's just stick to where we're at right now.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, well, you said it out there, so when you said it, I wanted to make sure. This has been really great. So Brain Hacking 101 and Brain Hackers Cookbook, which is this is the first presentation you've ever done on this, and these are some. I have a lot of notes here. This is really impressive work. Now, what would you say people's results will be if they integrate even 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of these? If they integrate these right away, what would you say?
I would. Absolutely. I would say that sleep's the biggest one. I think you're going to get the biggest noticeable effect from having 2 or 3 nights of deep sleep consecutively. If you drink alcohol, eliminate the alcohol. Just try it. It may be difficult, but if you can, do it. Eliminate the alcohol. Up your water intake. That will help for the deep sleep and help facilitate it. If you're still having a difficult time getting that sleep, use that acupressure mat. That is going to be the #1 biggest bang for your buck, followed by water, which is a very, very, very close second. Once you are truly hydrated, you will feel different. It is it's not easy to explain because most people are in a constant dehydrated state. That's where most sickness arrives from or derives from. You have to realize that when you are not hydrated, bad things happen. Just say that. So I would say sleep, water, and if you're not involved with some specific athletic endeavor, then up your healthy fats, lower your carb intake. Another thing that I didn't talk about, my own personal diet. I have some carbs. I have a superfood drink in the morning right after my workout. I don't have anything to eat before my workout, so I may not have the strength that I could have, but I eat right afterwards. I have a superfood shake, and then I usually have what's called a bulletproof coffee for lunch, which is there's really high in fat, has grass-fed butter, has the MCT oil, and then my dinner is usually a ribeye or some other type of steak. I don't have a potato with it. I don't, I'll put butter on top of it just to up the fats, but I add no carbs to it. And that, is around 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, and I go to bed. That's my entire meal. So I have superfood shake, bulletproof coffee, and then usually 1 physical meal a day, and that's a ribeye. So that kind of gives you an idea of how my diet follows this system. I have lost your audio again.
That's pretty interesting. I like that a lot. I turn my audio off sometimes so it doesn't flop before Google Hangout. Okay, well, this is your happiness hack. By the way, I like that title, Happiness Hack, Tips for Being Happy. And this is 101. Is there going to be a 201 and 301?
They will be coming. They are going to be on the Brain Hackers Cookbook. No charge. It's not a charge for them. So it's just a matter of getting the content out there and getting it done, and that's it. And just getting to the point of being able to explain it in non-scientific terms when my brain, especially when it comes to the neurooptimal type stuff, when I generally talk to people about it, everybody says dumb it down. So I just have to be able to say it in a way that's not too scientific.
Well, you've dummied it down. I completely get that. But honestly, it really is about making sure that we are, as human beings, completely healthy from body, mind, spirit, and brain. I mean, I think that's something that we kind of forget to say. Is it's body, but it's also brain. It's mental, mental clarity.
And sleep. I'll turn you on to this next time I come out to Austin. I have what's called the God helmet. Highly controversial. Okay. Highly controversial.
Oh, it sounds fun.
That hooks up 16 electrodes to your head and stimulates a portion of your brain that makes you feel like you are in the presence of a higher power. It's spiritual. It is, what some of these, some of these medicinal herbs like ayahuasca or some of these other ones. This takes you there without ingesting anything. It takes you to a very, very sacred place, and it makes you question a lot of things. But that's for another time.
That's definitely a 401 or 501. The God helmet. Will you bring that to Austin and the mastermind?
Oh yeah. That's an interesting one.
I love that kind of stuff. I totally love that. And by the way, I just kind of want to share this. So at the last mastermind we were here in Austin, he brought the Roshi. Is that the one with the lights?
Yes, that's the Roshi.
Okay. So here we are in I'm just sharing with everybody. We're here we are in a in a hotel conference room or whatever, and someone's talking, and I look over at Keith and I'm like, I want to do that thing, and he's like, okay, well, come over. So I'm laying on the floor, I'm laying on the floor, and I have these glasses on, and there are these lights, like, and I'm laying there and I'm listening because I'm not asleep. I can hear everything,
Yeah.
And I had a headache. The reason I did it is because I had a headache, and so I thought, well, maybe I'll try that. It completely worked. I kind of went into not a deep sleep, but just like a REM, like a relaxation.
Yeah.
But I knew what was going on. I could feel what was going on. But I was laying on the floor of this hotel conference room, and it was really incredible. My headache went away, and got back up and went to the conference. Just kept going. But it was interesting to hang out at a room, just sitting there. So it doesn't have to be like this big spa-like experience, what I'm saying.
Oh, no. It's
this stuff in the middle of the day. You can do this with a dog
Yeah.
barking. You can do this with the kids outside.
Yeah. Like the Pia Roshi, just to give you an example of what you experienced with that, is that it doesn't change anything for you. One of the things it does do, it can create a hypnotic state to where after you pull it off and you feel like you've been under for 5 minutes because you're aware of everything, but then you're like, wait, man, I had that on for 25 minutes? And so what the interesting thing about that is if you had the paraliminal going through your headphones at the time, so you're listening, the paraliminals are completely confusing your brain because you've got a guy talking in your left ear and your guy talking in your right ear, and they're both telling a story that combines together, while at the same time the Pia Roshi is taking you into the hypnotic trance. So it's pushing you there deeply. That's an interesting experience. So that is maybe the next mastermind I can have a day where we do some really intense brain work. So
that'd be awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. This is a lot of fun. Thanks, Keith, for this.
Thanks,
and
Heather.
guys, anyone out there, thanks for being here today. It's August 19th, and you heard it here first on Hangouts with Heather. You can go check out Keith Baxter's, either his podcast, Nothing Held Back, on iTunes, of course. You can also go to nothingheldback.com, or now you can go to brainhackerscookbook.com. It's a new site for you. And go check it out, guys, girls. Let us know what you think of doing this. Give us some feedback. Do some few of the things. Integrate some of the protocols into your life, and let us know how it goes. All right, hats to you, Keith. And just for you, I'm gonna go to Juice Land.
Oh man, that makes me upset because I don't have one. But I did have an avocado shake for lunch today, so we're all good.
And Juice Land, I have to say, I am very spoiled. Juice Land's one side of the house over here, and the floating bars on the other side of the house. It's like a mile away each.
You are so
I'm very
lucky.
spoiled. I know, I'm very spoiled. All right, thank you so much. Peace to you,
Heather.
and have a good one.
Bye, guys.